So, welcome to another podcast episode of The Soulful Side of Life with me, Ali Portee. I hope that you are well and having a good week. And I'm excited about this podcast episode with Lucien Pagès. He's a very nice and approachable man in fashion, and he was gracious enough to let me interview him for The Soulful Side of Life. And a little bit about Lucien. He is the head of his own eponymous PR agency that represents over 150 clients in fashion, beauty, lifestyle, and design between New York, Paris, and London. His roster of clients includes Schiaparelli, Coperni, Victoria Beckham, Jacquemus, J.W. Anderson, Byredo, and Maison Francis Kurkdjian. I was interested in Lucien's journey in fashion. That's what I wanted to speak to him about. Specifically, how does a kid from a small town French village get to Paris as well as the rest of the world in the way that he has done it? And he explains all of this in the discussion of where his passion for fashion was birthed and learning under fashion greats like Mr. Yves Saint Laurent himself and under Gianfranco Ferré when he was creative director at Dior. Lucien was an intern for both of these men, and we talk about the power of internships and learning when you don't have a lot of professional responsibility on your shoulders. And then he also discusses his desire in his early years of wanting to be a fashion designer, but he pivoted and founded his own agency in 2006. So enjoy this discussion. I hope that you take away something from it that blesses and encourages your life journey. And yeah, thank you for listening. Okay, Lucien, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have this discussion with you. And
Me too. You're one of the top fashion PRs in Paris, and just to have a little bit of your time to hear your journey, I think it will be inspiring for people who look up to the fashion industry.
thank you. Thank you. I will do it with pleasure.
Okay, so jumping right on in, you grew up in a small village in France. What was life like then, and how did your time there get you to where you are now?
Alors, it was like also like I born in 1975, so it's like a long time ago, and the world and everything has changed so much since then. So there was like the fact that I grew up in a remote place in a little village in the mountain in south of France. And as well, time were very like different. There was no access to internet at that time, and came late, very late. But so like the access to communication, to information was very limited, and it was mostly like TV with like 3 channel and the press, but that was arriving in the village, but with like not every title, not like so my access to the world was very limited, and instead of thinking it as a frustration, I think it's obliged me to be curious and to look for information, and so the lack of access give me the desire to dig, to educate myself, to because I was bored as well. There was nothing to do in this village, and
Sure.
and I create my own world, and fashion uh, attract me. I don't know why, and I was obsessed with fashion, and slowly, I start to learn about fashion and to hear what's going on in Paris. You know, I even didn't know there was fashion in New York, in Milan, in London. I was like obsessed because Paris was the capital of France and capital of fashion, and so I started to dream about Paris, and then I discovered that fashion was like something quite universal.
How did you hear about fashion? Was it a magazine that was laying around and that's how you discovered, or from those 3 channels?
TV, there was the news on TV, and during the fashion show, they were showing at the end of the TV of the news, 5 minutes about the fashion show, mostly haute couture. They were not, it was like the things that make people dream. So it was much more popular, the haute couture, than the prêt-à-porter. And they were always showing the same thing, that it was like Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, and Dior.
Well,
Mostly, it was not very like
not like
edgy.
it is now.
Yeah, didn't change.
I see. Okay, what was little boy Lucien like?
Very shy, very shy. Uh, um, my parents had an hotel and a restaurant in this place, and we were living in the hotel with like 4 strangers, because we never had a home, like our home. We were living in the hotel. We had a little room. My parents had a room. I had a room inside the hotel. So when I was going back from school and going to my room to do my homework, I was crossing stranger. They were the client of the hotel. They were in the corridor next to my room, and so I had like I was shy, but I had access to those strangers, those people were most of the time quite interesting, and so the I was not living in the world, but the world was coming to me.
Okay.
And so I had like this. I had this wild aspect of someone that grew up in a remote place, but as well a kind of social access, because my parents were really like obliged to be social because it was their job. So
Sure.
it was a mix of like uh um voilà, this wildness, and this also access to the social world through the hotel and the restaurant.
So are you an only child?
Yes, yes.
Me too. I
Uh,
find being an only child creates a very big independence in a person.
yeah,
Um,
and also you cannot play with your sibling.
yeah.
You cannot, so you have to create your own world. What I
Yes.
say, you have to play with your fantasy, with the imaginary, with your whatever. So I think you develop a kind of a ability of creating things around you because they are not there.
Of course. Of course. I have the exact same experience. When did you decide, because it was your dream to be a fashion designer? Was it at the same time that you're watching the news and you see these haute couture clips that you're like, that's what I want to do is design?
Yes,
That's
absolutely. I was fascinated by um yeah, by the grand couturier, and also you have to think that it was like, if you think about Yves Saint Laurent, Karl Lagerfeld, of Hubert de Givenchy, or Valentino, it was people that were openly gay and successful. And for me, as a young gay guy, that was trying to find myself, it was a very positive image of like being gay and not being like um, desperate, or
right.
like having a miserable life. Those grand couturiers had a wonderful life. They were collecting art. They were showing their home, their fabulous home in magazine. Like so, there was a mix of like uh, one wanted to be there for the work, for the love of fashion, but as well for the lifestyle, like because they seems to have a wonderful life. They were friends with, like if you take Hubert de Givenchy was best friend with Audrey Hepburn, and Yves Saint Laurent was best friend with Catherine Deneuve, and like it was a whole world of like taste and glamour.
Yeah,
And for me, coming from this little village, it was pretty exciting to dream to be a part of that.
of course. Of course. Yeah. It's like it was a place that you could feel that you could belong, like
Yes.
seeing it in front of you, you're like, "That's what I wanna do."
Yes, and it was like inaccessible and a bit scary and but also very stimulating. I
Sure.
remember like a friend of my I talk about that a few times, but it's for me it's a good it's a good it's a good anecdote. It's like a friend of mine told me, "Ah, you you will pass your license for driving," and I said, "No, I will have a driver." And they was very shocked, and he said, "And I would like to have a Rolls Royce." And he said, "I don't see you in a Rolls Royce," like very like put
Yes.
you there, like you're not belong to that world of Rolls Royce. And for me, it was stimulating. More people were saying to me, "It's not possible." I wanted to show it's possible.
Of course. And maybe at that time it didn't seem possible, but
It was not possible at all.
yeah. Yeah. Now, today, for sure, if a young person says it, it's you can see it.
Yeah,
Um,
and so today, if you say, "Oh, I want to have a Rolls Royce," people will say, "Okay, you can be influencer,"
yeah,
and they will loan you a Rolls Royce.
that's true.
I
You
nice
don't
to
you don't even have to buy it.
no,
What did your time at Saint Laurent and Christian Dior teach you about fashion and life?
alors about fashion, but I was working with as an intern. Huh? I was not like an assistant. I was an intern, and but I done many internship. I done like maybe 12 or 14 at Dior with Gianfranco Ferré, and with Saint Laurent too, but with longer presence, like 2 or 3 months each time, even 4 months sometimes. So it was more like consistent. And no, I had the chance for me to watch them doing their job, to watch them doing fitting, to watch them. I was saw Monsieur Saint Laurent draping dress on models. I saw, like it was more like this possibility of watching masters doing things, and it was really brilliant, and I felt lucky to have access to that. So it learned me, I guess, a bit of technique, taste, patience, because you were not there to shine, you were there to help and to observe as an intern, because you don't have big responsibility as an intern.
Mhm.
So and patience, that things take time, and for me it's really a crucial point, especially when I talk to young people right now. I think they have no patience because of like the everything is fast now, and the news is fast, and social media and everything, like even travel is faster, everything is fast, and
Right.
life is fast.
Mhm.
and it's something that I always want to try to 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 uh, to tell that it's okay to lose a bit of time, to be patient, to it's because the time you lose at young, you can have it back later. You go more fast after because you
Right.
learn a lot of things. So
Yes.
it's really learned me that. It's learned me as well because it was for me, especially at Saint Laurent, it was a moment. It was a bit the end of Yves Saint Laurent himself, like as a grand couturier. And it was in the 90s, and he stopped the house in the 2000 something. And it for me, it learned me what this world, this true world of haute couture was, and that it will never be the same. There is haute couture now, and it's great, but it's not the same than what I saw then. Like it was a true couture house with like the department for clients. The clients at Saint Laurent, they were dressing couture for day and night. It was now the couture is more something to go to for the celebrity, or to be an evening dress. At that time, the women, they were buying a blouse haute couture. Their wardrobe was couture. They were buying pants. They were buying belt. They were buying. You know what I mean? They were
Yeah.
living couture. And So I saw this world of haute couture, and I saw, well, I had the privilege to see that because it's something that is historical for me. And after, to answer the rest of your question, what is teach me for life?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I had a lot of life experience there. There was like people were very mean. People were. It stuck to me. It teach me the hierarchy as well.
Mm,
Like haute couture world was really like based on hierarchy.
mhm,
Uh, and everyone has his place, and it was kind of traditional.
mhm,
Um, it teach me humility
mm,
because when you are there to serve, uh,
sure.
and to serve the house, to serve the designer, to serve. You're not the person in front. You are like a part of the machine.
Mm,
Um, so it's give you humility, and it's learned me. I don't know how to connect to amazing people, to stay at your place, to really like the couture. I think the couture house was a lesson for humility and being uh, ambitious, but always at your place.
sure.
It wa- because of this kind of hierarchy that was not said. You know that there was like things you cannot do in a couture house, but nobody tell you. You have to
Mm.
discover by yourself. You cannot do that.
I see. I think it's fascinating that you had a series of internships in these very famous houses, but that you were around these creative directors, Mr. Saint Laurent, Mr. Ferrari. Um, and when I was in university, it wasn't my plan to be in the fashion industry. I studied in Washington, so I was interning in Congress and at the White House. But I found that being able to be around a congressman himself or a senator himself, occasionally around a president himself, you're able to see that leader up close and personal, and you're learning things that you can't learn in a classroom, on how they treat people, on how they handle stress.
Mhm.
And I think it's so invaluable when you're able to be around that person directly and see them in the day-to-day 9 to 5 of the work. And,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, um, and it's where you it's where it's so precious to have this capability, the ability of observing, of
yes.
like it's really precious for me. That's why it's a part of the journey when you start, and if you don't have now the young, they want title, there was responsibility too early, and I think it's great to be able to observe without having too many responsibility, to feel, as you said, this leadership, to feel how they handle a situation, how like it's really like learning things, and that you can do only when you have a place where you can catch up the moment, when you can feel the moment. If you are already inside the machine, you are inside the machine. It's not the same. So it's a it's really a moment where you learn a lot, and also, but I don't know if you agree, but I think when you are younger, you learn more
Yes.
f- easily and more fast. Me, I remember all the 90s is where I saw the most of the movie. I listened most of the music, and I still have it in my mind. This culture, I made my culture in the 90s basically, because I was still young and I was like a sponge.
Mm,
Everything was, you know what I mean. I was like
I understand.
absorbing every
Yeah.
information, every culture, every and it's so. But when you are young, you don't realize that.
Mhm.
You know, all the things I learn later, I have a tendency to forget them.
Mm.
It was
Yes.
there. You know, there is this moment where you really are at your the top of your
Game, the
uh,
top of your game.
yes,
Yeah.
and you learn so much. So it's a
Yeah.
moment where you have to be curious. And after
Yeah.
you have to be curious when you're getting old to stay relevant. That's another
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And also when you're older, you're handling problems. Like it's just another level. Whereas when you're younger, you're learning something new, and hopefully the things that you're learning when you're younger will help you when you have to put out problems. I find, a CEO, the corner office, you're putting out problems. That's you're going in one meeting after another. And yeah, you just when you're younger, you're learning about humility, how to speak with people. All those things are going to help you if you climb to the higher levels to put out those problems. So,
Mm.
yeah. Um, what was the aha moment when you're like, no, fashion design is not for me, and you wanted to do PR?
Um, I did it. It was not like simultaneous. Those two things. Uh,
Okay.
I discovered that I will not do design, but I done PR much later on. Um, like I done few things in between, still in fashion, in magazine, in creative, from artistic direction. But before I find out that I would be PR, I experiment few things. There was my journey into fashion was like a very, how do you say, uh, experimental. I tried many things before I find my way. And for the design, I just like felt that uh, after school and I done a brand with a friend. We created a brand of cashmere with a friend. And then after I had the feeling like maybe we've done that too early and it was like really difficult. And I said, okay, I don't want really to do that. Like it's too painful. And then I find my way with experience and opportunity, but I never think I would be PR. I even didn't know it was existing, you know. Um, it was like, I don't think people need a dream to be PR in fashion, maybe more now, but because they have access to more information.
Yeah.
Uh, but and there is a kind of like curiosity about the behind the scene of fashion. You know, people are more
Mm.
curious about who is doing PR, who is doing the production, who is doing the hair, who is doing the makeup, who is doing the casting. Before it was not like that, so I didn't really know about that job, you know. And for me, that job at that time was more like uh, uh, girls or women from good family that knew have a carnet d'adresse, you know, when
Mm.
um, the network and they were doing lunch and they knew the countess or the duchess or, you know, it was a bit
Yeah.
like old school. It was not like PR as I am, you know, like, so for me, I was not belonging to that world. So you know, and it was not even interesting for me. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Um, and so when I found out I could be a good PR, it's someone that told me. Basically, someone told me you you could be a good PR. You should be a PR, and that's turned a light on me.
Okay. So you
That's yeah.
stumbled into it.
Totally. Totally. And when I opened my office, I even don't have a list of journalists. I had to create my first list. I remember I bought all the magazine and I was checking. En France, on appelle ça l'ours. You know, it's a page where you have like editor in chief, the name, uh,
Yes, the
chaîne.
masthead.
Yeah. And so I took all of them and I started to create my list with that.
Wow.
When I created my company 20 years ago in
Wow.
2006. So this year is the 20th anniversary of the company in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I remember me in my apartment, because at the beginning I was doing that for my apartment, with the magazine and checking the name of the people. I knew few of them because I was living in Paris and I was going out. I was not like out of touch, you know. I was like in I was seeing people. I was, and also it was really fun in the 90, my company at the beginning of the 2000. But at the time it was really fun and people were going to parties, to fashion party, but for fun, not for making a picture and leave. It was like, it was not, it was becoming an industry, but it was not to the industrialization of fashion was not totally complete. There was still
Right.
a there was still a lot of fun in Paris around fashion.
Yeah. Yeah. That I would have loved to be 20s in the 90s. I think it was such a different or even
Yeah,
early 2000s.
it's great, but it's what I said. Like at that time, because now people are very nostalgic about the 90s.
Mhm.
Um, but at that time, we were not thinking, "Oh my God, we are living in the 90s. It's so exciting! Like, look at everything." Like I remember when they said grunge. Like the first time, nobody was grunge really. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
our real life, it was the first time that they said, okay, like there was Nirvana and there was fashion that was a bit more like grungy, a bit more luxury, miserable, and so they started the magazine start to say, oh, the grunge movement, but we were not grunge, like.
Yeah.
It was really like a kind of phenomenon that was maybe because we were French, I don't know, maybe it was more vibrant in the US, I don't know, like more real. But it's funny because we were living that moment where we were not like totally understanding that it was such an inspirational moment.
Sure. But it's interesting how you really started your brand like grassroots, like going to the masthead and pulling names and building your media list that way. Um, just starting with your two hands and your own
What?
not this big network behind you.
No, no,
So,
no.
yeah.
It was, I mean, I had no other possibility. But I was not feeling that as a something tough. I was just feeling that it was the right thing to do. Like I always use my brain. Like, okay, I have a PR company now. I need list, so let's make
Yes.
the list. I'm very pragmatic, like it's just I need those lists, so I done those lists. I didn't think, oh my God, I cannot do PR because I don't have a network. And I
Sure.
knew because I had issue like that at the beginning with some first client. People told me, "Oh, you don't know Suzy Menkes. Like, we're not sure we can hire you because you don't know Suzy Menkes." Um, and when Suzy invited me to her birthday, her 80th birthday, and I went to London for that, especially for that to celebrate her birthday, and because for me it was, of course, I admire, and she's so funny and smart, and um, but it was also kind of little revenge, like
Yeah.
okay, the new Suzy Menkes, but now I'm at her birthday, and
Right.
no one that told me you don't know Suzy Menkes was at its birthday, you know.
I see. Right. They've all been long maybe out of the industry.
So it's funny, but it happened and it's normal at the beginning. You don't know. Also, I never pushed
Mhm.
to be introduced to important people. For me, I never beg, I never push. I wanted to meet important people when it was the right moment, when it will come naturally. So I
Sure.
had a lot of pleasure to work with people of my age, to work with people that were like me, starting their career. So I work with young stylists, fashion stylists. I work with young designer. I think it's really important, if I can give advice, is to grow with your generation, you know?
Mhm.
And then it happened. And then one day I met Karine Rothfeld, I met Emmanuel Alt, it's
Mhm.
happened really to me. But when it happened, it was organic. It was
Mhm.
not like uh, uh, me forcing something.
Mhm.
And there is
Mhm.
people that, and I'm not criticizing because there is people who know very well how to force things. Is their strength. Me, it's not mine. I don't feel
Sure.
comfortable in forcing things. So it was my way of doing it, and I'm not saying it has to be like that. There is people who are very like adventurous and more like daring, and but me, uh, I was not like that, and I'm still not like that. Like
I think
I
it's
like
the best when you don't push. In places like Washington politics or in fashion, when you do it organically, because people notice when you're trying to push in and it can
yeah
become a turn off.
yeah
And
totally
yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's like for a relationship or love.
yes,
It's the
yes,
same.
it is. It is. Um, what does it take to be a successful fashion PR in 2026? Successful.
Curiosity. Uh, I think now maybe that because of social media, you need extra strengths in that domain to understand well your world, to understand well the tool you have in your hand that are different from the tool I had when I started. Um, it's like, yeah, you have to live with your time. So if you're starting and you want to be successful now, you have to understand your world.
Mhm.
Uh, it's, uh, it's mandatory. I'm not saying that you have to embrace everything because there is a lot of stupidity and a lot of things that are like not really like elevated. But it's more you have to know about it. You have to know it exists. You have to know how it works to be sure that when you work with a client, you position and you advise him well.
Sure,
So it's
sure.
more about that world that has changed so much and to understand it.
Makes sense. A couple of last questions. One thing I admire about you is your humility and you don't keep yourself in some far off tower away from people. You're not too good to speak to people. You mix well with everyone. And when I've looked at other leaders that I've been around in business and politics, I'm convinced that institutions, companies do well when those at the top are humble and able to be around all sorts of people. Making themselves accessible is what I'm saying. Um, I don't think that you would be successful with over 150 clients that are leading brands in luxury if you weren't humble. Would you say that this is the case?
Yeah, but thank you for this. But without without knowing this question, I talk about humility a lot in that discussion. In
Yes, really.
naturally,
Yeah.
and because for me, it's really a value. And it's not reducing yourself. People have a tendency to think that humility is reducing yourself. No, you can be grand and you are even more humble. And
Mhm.
and always like it's something that is a lesson I learn and I'm trying to pass is that more you're grand, more you have to be humble. More you're grand, more you can be disconnected, more you have to be connected to the other. It's really important that and I thought I said it to many designers were present. I said, "You will have success. You will see." And might cut you from the reality, might cut you from the other. It's where you will have to be even more humble because everything will push you to be on the tower. On the protected from the people, from the world, from the and you will have to fight back to be sure that more you're growing, more you are accessible. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And especially now where you have so many solicitations, the number of people who ask me for internship on social media um, or I'm a model. I'm not a model agency. You know what I mean? Like I cannot really
Yeah.
help. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be rude,
Of
because
course.
people are very full of hope. And I understand that everyone need his chance. And sometimes I cannot help. And also I don't know if I can help. I should help because I don't know if someone asks me for a job, but I don't know if it's good. How you
Mm.
can recommend someone if you don't know if it's good? Like it's
Of
not very
course.
professional, so you have to be. So it's difficult to stay in touch uh, because you have less time also, and also you cannot help everyone, and you don't have a solution for everyone. But it's good to hear. It's good to co- to connect. For me, I'm I'm not doing that to be loved or to be. It's just that I think it's essential to keep your feet on the ground, and
Mm.
because you can lose it quickly. And then I saw it even in my job, like all PR, very like self-sufficient, uh, like, and they don't get what is going on, like only
Yeah.
external world can bring you the information. It's not the people that you see every day that will, or think like you exactly, that will refresh you.
Mm.
So it's kind of selfish, my position is because I know that, as I said, like, if when you're getting older, you need even more curiosity, and to
Of
be
course.
learn from younger generation to to uh, if we have to do when I started, I observed the master. Now I observe the the younger that tell me about what's going on,
Of
because we don't
course.
life. Of course, I don't have the same life that a 25 person or 30 I don't go to the same concert. I don't know, like, they love things, and me, I love Madonna. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Different generation.
And I cannot, like, not know about Rosalia or Charlie, or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I cannot
Right.
be stick in loving Madonna, only Madonna all my life. So,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I find it hard to keep up with these young artists nowadays, and I just go back to Britney Spears and
yeah.
NSYNC. My
But the
yeah.
young love Whitney Spears, so it's fine.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Last question. Fashion isn't always inclusive of everyone, but inclusivity and supporting emergent talent seems to be important to you. What advice do you have for people who may feel that they're having a challenging time finding a place in fashion?
Mm. I think it's the it's fashion is as small and narrow as open. It's very strange
Mm,
mix.
mm.
It's a small world where you know everyone really when you do all the fashion months, like you see every day, 3 times a day, the same person, the, it's small. It's a small world for sure.
Yes.
So as every small world, it can look very impressive and not like you will think if you are outside that you won't be welcome. That's sure that there is uh, this difficulty about because voilà, it's small. But then what I noticed during all my career, and it's what happened to me, is that fashion welcome talent from everywhere. If you have something to tell, if you have if you have an amazing look, if you love fashion, if you have style, if you have eh ben, you they make you a place, because
Mm,
they need also. There is this need, and it's come back to the conversation we just had about refreshing always the system, including people that change your point of view, that bring something new. Fashion cannot be like stiff. Fashion is about the change, and you can only change in bringing new people.
yeah.
So it's where there is, I know it's something that I try to say on my TikTok, and sometimes it's not totally well perceived uh, when I say that it's possible to make it in fashion. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's possible. But you have something to tell, to bring. There's people who are frustrated. They say, "Oh, I never get my meetings to this fashion house." but sometimes they don't want to see that maybe they were not ready for that, maybe they didn't achieve yet their style, or maybe they, you know what I mean? Or
I know what you mean. They're just
it's
not ready. That's
just
something,
what-
yeah.
and I'm not saying that it's easy. It's very tough. And I was like, earlier, I was speaking to a designer about fashion journey because she was a bit sad of things and I told her like it's the same. It was the same. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's not painful. It's painful and still painful for me. You know, sometimes I go to gala or to place that where I don't want to be, where I don't want to be judged, where I don't want. You know what I mean? Like, and
Mhm.
I push myself and I go and I say, okay, I will do it. I will take on me. I will. It's it's uh it's not an easy place to navigate, but it's a place that has um um curiosity and uh and need for uh, talent, new talent, um even old
You
talent that disappeared and coming back, or you know,
mhm.
there is always like this phoenix things in fashion as well. If you think someone is done and it's coming back,
Mm.
uh,
Yeah, I know what
mm,
you mean.
it's there is a beauty in fashion because even though it's very tough, and it's what I said. I never liked the Devil Wear Prada because I think she's too nice. Like people in fashion are much more mean.
Yes,
No,
that's true.
they are much more paranoid. They are much more like they don't want to leave the place. They don't want like um and they are desperate to go to a fashion show after watching maybe 2000 fashion show in their life. If they are not like at the front row of one, they will make a crisis.
Yes.
They will
Yes.
make you feel like a big shit because you
Yes.
like but there is this possibility in fashion that I really believe because when I see the people who are around me, my colleague, my team, the designer we work with, they are coming from everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
Mean every background, rich, poor, middle class, everywhere from the world.
Mm.
Fashion is like the most cosmopolitan place somehow. You know, you meet
Yeah.
uh, people from all the world in fashion because they
Yeah.
have. So same. I'm not saying that there is not. Like it's not. It's look like oh, it's all fantastic. No, it's tough, but
Mhm.
still it's a place uh, where we meet very very different people. There is not
Yes.
of course there is people who are coming from bourgeois or what I said to you about like old PR that coming from good family, but also there is many people who are coming from very normal background that study that work to pay their study that
Yeah. It is very diverse in and of itself and somehow inclusive, because there's a place for everyone in fashion. If you're in law, there's a place for you. If you're creative, there's a place for you. And I feel like there's a lot of other industries that aren't so inclusive like that. And some
yeah,
can't
we
be
have a
like
lot. We can improve a lot as well.
yeah.
No, but it's true that there is this big topic about woman designer at the head of a big house
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
representation of everyone, and it's like we can always improve, but I think fashion is a bit also uh, a, it's not like the other industry still. People wanted to make it as an industry, but still, because we are based on creativity, we need creatives. And it can only regenerate itself by by people who are different, who are disruptive, who think differently.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree. I agree. Well, Lucien, thank you so much for your time. It's fascinating to hear how a boy from a small town made it in Paris and in fashion.
Yeah,
And
but
if
there
you
is
can do it,
but also I hope now it's more easy and more that there is more fluidity into the well, because as I said, like the time has changed and there is a different challenge, but at least information is there. You can, you can,
sure.
you know what's going on in the world. It's different. So
Yeah,
you can prepare yourself, you can land, you can,
yeah, yeah, for sure. Times are different. Well, thank you again for your
so
time.
thank you. It was amazing to speak to you, very inspiring. And, I had the feeling that we were in a cafe having a drink together.
Yes, me too. Yeah, just talking about the industry. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Thanks. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.